Welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, recorded January 28, 2023. This is episode number 419. My name is Mac Jackson Jr. I am your cybersecurity consultant and researcher. If this is the first time you have seen our show, I discuss cybersecurity awareness tips, techniques, and news that you can use to protect yourself from the fastest growing crimes of the 21st century. I would like to thank all of our viewers and listeners who have been part of our show over the years here on Cybersecurity Awareness TV. And you would like to find out more about my company, the name of the company is Vanderson Cyber Group. But if you'd like to follow me as well, I'm online at macjacksonjr.com. That's macjacksonjr.com. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to all of our social media out there, folks, to keep you informed on the latest news and events that are going on in cybersecurity. Also, you could be a patriot by joining us at patreon.com, at patreon.com/macjacksonjr. In today's episode, we're going to discuss security threats from around the world, folks. It keeps on coming and keeps on getting there, folks. But we are getting the news out, and like yourselves, are helping spread the news and letting people know what's going on and how they can protect themselves. Our second segment will discuss FBI warnings for consumers and all of you out there about things that FBI want you to keep alert on what hackers and what scammers are doing to try to take your money. In our third segment, we'll talk about what you can do to improve your productivity and your security. But first, folks, first segment from around the world, cybersecurity threats. In 2023, cybersecurity threats are on the rise across all sectors of SMBs, which is small to medium-sized businesses, and as well as enterprise companies as well. Now, these companies are investing in cybersecurity awareness hardware and software to protect their data assets, in spite of the stockholders saying that they must cut costs. Cybersecurity is now being looked as a priority for all sizes of businesses, folks. Even if you have a mom and pop shop or a one-person organization, you are still in need of some sort of cybersecurity posturing and hygiene. In this segment, I will review stories from around the world where you can see the threat of the cyber threats that affect us not just here in the United States, but from around the world. Our first story starts with CNBC.
With us now from Las Vegas, CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz and Jen Easterly, Director of the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. Good morning to you both, and thanks for being with us. George, let me start with you. On your last earnings call, you said that you were seeing the deal cycle lengthen, especially from SMBs. What have you seen over the last few weeks, and what is the risk that some of these companies pause adoption altogether? What would be the risk more broadly for everyone else?
Well, I think when you think about security, obviously it's something that organizations are going to need. And in fact, when we see a downturn in the economy, we see some of these layoffs, it's an area that's of great exposure to many companies. And it's a time when adversaries continue their relentless attacks. So from a cyber perspective, the demand is there. Companies need it. There's a lot of regulatory requirements around it. And the reason why we're at CES is because this is all about technology, and where there's technology, there's risk, and security is needed. So, we continue to see that from SMB in terms of the need all the way up to enterprise. And again, it's managing risk and making sure that companies are secure in a very turbulent time.
But George, are you seeing those deal cycles lengthen or adoption pausing? Any information or color you can give us from the last few weeks?
Well, what we've seen, and we've talked about this in the past, is that companies continue to add more layers of approval, just because in their own operations, they're managing their own budgets. And that's what we've, continued to see, and nothing new to add since our last earnings call.
Okay, Director Easterly, what I'm getting at here is that maybe cybersecurity isn't as resilient as the market thought last year. We have seen these lengthening deal cycles, and we know that it doesn't necessarily take a vulnerability at a major company, but it could be a vendor or something way back in the supply chain. So what would you tell CEOs or CFOs that are lengthening that process about the importance of continued spend on cybersecurity when they're facing pressure from investors to cut costs?
Yeah, I'd say a couple things. First of all, we get caught up in calling it cybersecurity. It really is a matter of cyber safety, consumer safety. You know, we live in a world that is highly connected, highly interdependent, where the critical infrastructure that Americans rely on every hour of every day to get water and healthcare and power and communications and transportation is underpinned by a technology base that is basically unsafe. So it's absolutely critical that we come to cybersecurity, cyber safety with a much more sustainable approach. What does that mean? That means that technology companies who for decades have been creating products and software that are fundamentally insecure, they need to start creating products that are secure by design and secure by default with safety features baked in. You can think about it like automotives that come with seat belts and anti-lock brakes and crumple zones and airbags. That's what we need as consumers to be demanding from our technology. We've somehow normalized the fact that we've accepted that technology software and products come with dozens and hundreds and thousands of flaws and defects. And we've normalized the fact that we've basically placed the burden of cyber safety on consumers who least understand the threat and are least prepared to be able to deal with it. Cybersecurity will continue to be a big industry, and CrowdStrike is a great partner. But at the end of the day, the cybersecurity industry is created because technology companies fundamentally have created products that are insecure by design, and we need to fundamentally change that if we're going to have sustainable approach to a defensible cyber ecosystem.
Folks, if you've been a viewer of our show here, Cybersecurity Awareness TV, you have heard and seen our stories relating to TikTok and how this app has been designated as a threat to national security, deemed by the FBI, director of the FBI here in the United States. And negotiations are online right now in progress to negotiate how TikTok should be controlled here within the U.S. or should it be banned completely. Well, this story takes us to Canada, where TikTok there is also under the microscope for possible security violations, right? Again, TikTok, folks, is owned by a company called ByteDance, right? They're out of China. And there are suspicions that their app can control your smart device and send information about you to a foreign government. For example, folks, you notice when you load the TikTok app, it asks if it can get permission to turn on your camera, if it can permission to look at your contacts. Why would an app want to know your contacts, have access to your camera, and all this information on your smart device, folks? It's something you should definitely be concerned with. Well, these concerns have now affected even foreign governments around the world. And our story today takes us to CBC News in Canada. Here's the story.
You may be turning to TikTok for the latest dance routine and trend, but there's a new warning from the person who oversees cybersecurity for the federal government. He says Canadians need to be careful their personal data doesn't end up in the wrong hands. The CBC's Catherine Tunney joins us now live from Ottawa. So, Catherine, this comes as TikTok faces accusations it spied on its users. What are you learning about this warning?
Yeah, well, Canada's Cyber Intelligence Agency is urging some caution when it comes to the incredibly popular app TikTok. I sat down with the head of the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, and we talked TikTok and potential concerns about it. And Sammy Corey basically says that people should always be doing this, but especially in the context of TikTok, should be questioning, why does this app need, access to all my contacts? Why does this app also need access to my photos and for my text messages? And he also really kind of urged some caution about where that data is stored and also who's in control of it. And he says, maybe you don't want a nation state, a different nation state, to have access to that, especially one with different views on human rights and rule of law, for example. Now, of course, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is based in China. The app has been accused of aggressive data harvesting, and of course, its ties to the Chinese government has also, raised concerns and accusations about spying as well. Accusations that the company denies.
And now we know that the U.S. has banned federal employees from using TikTok on government-issued devices. And we know that the Republican Senator Marco Rubio introduced a bill last year to ban TikTok in the U.S. entirely. What's the Canadian government's position on this?
Yeah, well, the communication security establishment that has that cybersecurity element that I was just talking about, also in charge of foreign signals intelligence as well. It says that it's watching what the U.S. does and other Canadian allies as well. So far, it has not put out an advisory against using TikTok per se. It does have some general guidance around social media apps. For example, knowing where your data is stored, and if it's not in Canada, that might, or the U.S., maybe that's concerning for some users. And then the same concerns I just talked about downloading and what access to your contacts this app has. So it has some general guidance. It does say that it is looking to update those guidance. So of course, if they update it, we will bring you any more on that. A spokesperson for TikTok Canada did say, it does not share its users' data with any government, including China. And the spokesperson for TikTok also said that it is, talking with the government and sharing information about its privacy and security.
Thanks for this, Catherine. That is the CBC's Catherine Tunney in Ottawa.
Well, folks, besides just TikTok, there are other different apps and types of social media and social engineering tactics that hackers try to use. And one of the biggest ones we've talked about in the show is ransomware. And ransomware is still huge, folks. There's still companies that are being extorted with ransomware. Hackers are trying to get information from businesses by locking up their computers. A lot of companies are saying, forget it, we're not going to pay these ransom. We're just going to use our backups and we continue to move forward. Well, the hackers are coming back and they're stating that, hey, if you don't pay us, we have your data. We will then take your data and expose your company and sell your data to other hackers in the dark net. So it's causing definitely some problems, especially with governmental municipalities and governmental agencies. This week, folks, we'll take a look at Louisiana governmental agencies, folks, and how these hack attacks with ransomware has affected them. There's a big hack that happened last December in 2022, and the organizations within the governmental agencies, they weren't even aware of it until a month later. You see what I'm saying, folks? So it's hard to know when your company is being hacked. Would you actually know? Here's a story from Louisiana Public Service Board.
This year, already, around 30 parishes were hit by a cyber attack. This particular one began around Christmas time and spread to different government agencies around the nation. Dozens of parishes in Louisiana have reported attacks in their clerk of court offices. I spoke with Carlo McDonald, an IT expert, and he told us all about these hacks and other things about cybersecurity in Louisiana. So first, let's talk about the amount of time it took for this particular breach to get going. It started somewhere around Christmas time, and then after the New Year's, whenever agencies in Louisiana started to notice that there was a problem. Right. Is this a normal amount of time for a cybersecurity hack?
Yes, typically, especially ransomware attacks. The hackers will get into the network and take their time learning about the network, where all the critical data is at, where is the confidential information. Once they learn that, and it could take a month, I've seen 5-6 months of them in a network. And once that they know where that's at, they'll then start the ransomware attack, which starts encrypting everything. And that's when you start seeing things go on. So I don't know all the details on the hack, but I'm going to guess that they were in there probably for a little while. And then after that, initiated the ransomware.
So there's no way to detect when these people are in there whenever they're just learning about this information?
Yeah, there is. If you put security software into your network, more than the standard stuff, there's EDR, which is endpoint detection and response software that you should have on all your systems. You should have a cyber operations center kind of watching. And I know that the small, mid-sized companies are probably going, well, that's too expensive. But no, that we've gotten those costs down so that any business really can afford to have somebody keeping an eye on things. And you should be looking. Those security individuals are going to be looking at things on your network to see if those anomalies are happening and then stop it before it gets out of hand.
So in Louisiana, I mean, it seems like we've been hearing a lot about cybersecurity attacks for, I want to say, about 4 years, since 2019 when they had that big breach at the DMV.
Right.
Is Louisiana a common place for cybersecurity attacks? Are we up to date?
No, Louisiana's not alone. Really, we saw a big rash of ransomware attacks about 3-4 years ago. Louisiana, the government saw a lot of that as well. And I think it kind of woke everybody up to upgrade your systems, your software, your hardware. We tend to think that if it's not broke, don't fix it, let it run. but you really have to keep equipment up to date every 3 to 5 years. Look at that, talk to your IT group, and get those things upgraded. And I think people have learned from that, so we're seeing less and less of that type of ransomware attack, but we're seeing more of stealing your data type of attacks, and we can talk about that in a little bit and give you more details on that.
I know, I want to hear the details now. I mean, it seems like you can't afford to wait around until these cyber attacks happen. I mean, what are the new methods that they're using?
So because people have learned about ransomware attacks and they've been upgrading their equipment and their software, and they're doing backups off-site into the cloud, so they feel like, well, if I get ransomware attacked, I can just go ahead and restore my data and tell the hacker or the bad actor that, hey, I'm not paying you. The problem with that today is with ransomware attacks, if your stuff gets encrypted, by that time they've already taken most of your data off your network. And the reason behind that is because they lost that leverage they used to have when you didn't have any backups. So now they have leverage with your data. So they're going to tell you, oh, you're not going to pay. Well, I'm going to release all your public information or your information out to the dark web. And that's a scary thought for some of the stuff like banks, hospitals, clerk of courts. These are lots of private information on these types of networks that they know if they can get that they have leverage on you.
Right. And I mean, I think it's important to remember that these are real people. It's not just a computer that's going around hacking people.
That's
so
right.
That means that as we're learning how to protect ourselves, they're learning how to attack us.
Oh yeah, it's a never ending change. And there's a lot of people used to have their emails hacked. And so your IT guy said, oh, you need to have multi-factor authentication put on it, where you get a code to your phone that says who you are, right?
Yes.
Everybody has that today. Guess what? They've worked around that. And in January this year, we've seen some of our customers where that's happened, and it starts with a phishing email that you enter your email address and your password, and then the hacker actually watches that process, and they can take that information and bypass that multi-factor authentication process where it goes to your phone. So they can just log in with your email address and password again. Yeah,
this is terrifying.
But there are ways to protect against that, and I mentioned earlier the EDR software, having a security group watching your network and watching your users. Unfortunately, we can protect against the network side, but a user is going to answer that phishing email. They're going to click on that link, and you try to train everybody not to do that through phishing training and phishing exercises. But at the end of the day, you still have that one user that gives that information out, and unfortunately, that's how they'll get in.
Right, so it just seems like this is kind of an inevitable part of life with technology at this point.
Yeah, there really isn't any way around not having somebody watching your systems 24/7 for security issues. The cost it's cost effective now. Prices come down considerably. Big corporations aren't the only ones that can have a security operations center, and everybody really needs to look at that. And if you're a smaller company, maybe you have 5 employees, there's still things that you can load and have people watch your stuff, and that's the EDR software I mentioned, endpoint detection and response. They actually have a level above that, which actually has those security engineers watching your computer. So if you do accidentally go to that phishing page, they'll get an alert, and you'll get an email, hey, we noticed you went to this site, and then that'll stop them from getting in. So there's definitely things you can do.
So the bottom line is just to make sure that you keep all of your security systems up to date, and as the technology advances, you need to be advancing too.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Folks, as you can see, criminals are always looking for ways to extort, exploit, and steal your personal data from your companies and from you individually. Remember, folks, we must stay proactive. And one of the ways you could do that is letting people know stories that you heard on the show. Pass this information along, folks, to your family and colleagues at work. We can stay proactive and protect ourselves from these types of cybercrimes. If you'd like to read up on these stories with more detail, you can go to my blog that's located at macjacksonjr.com/Macs-blog to find out more information on these types of cyber threats like ransomware and TikTok and what you could do to protect your business, your family from these things, folks. We must stay proactive, folks. Remember, #StayCyberAlert. We'll be back after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here #StayCyberWoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back.
Hey everybody, I am Aaron Phillips. You are?
I'm Governor Val Brown Klingelhofer.
And we host what kind of show?
We host the most fabulous show on this network you've ever seen. It's all about Kiwanis and what's going on in our different cities.
And Kiwanis Connects is the title, and you can watch us every Friday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, right on Facebook or WWDBTV. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Aloha.
Hi, folks. Thank you for coming back. This is Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this segment, we're talking about FBI warnings. The FBI, folks, has cracked down on a major ransomware gang, folks. Yes, this is good news for the good side. The major ransomware gang the FBI has cracked down has caused tremendous turmoil and hassle, harassment, and extortions with hundreds of different healthcare industries and other businesses using ransomware as a technique for their extortion. I have a story for you folks that talks about these types of attacks and how the FBI has gotten together with other cybersecurity experts around the world and did a proactive offense, folks, to fight back against these type of hackers. In other words, folks, the good guys are hacking the hackers. Check out this report brought to you by NBC News.
The major ransomware attacks targeted schools, hospitals, and critical infrastructure. But tonight, the FBI says it infiltrated one of the world's most prolific hacker gangs and shut down its site on the dark web.
Simply put, using lawful means, we hacked the hackers.
Investigators say the group, known as Hive, would partner with independent hackers, extorting more than $100 million worldwide. For years now, there have been headlines of Hive going after school districts in the U.S., like Norman Public Schools in Oklahoma, and a network of hospitals in Ohio, and had to cancel urgent surgeries while its staff moved to paper charts.
This network targeted more than 1,500 victims around the world since June of 2021.
Ransomware hackers extort victims by breaking into their online networks, then either encrypting their files, making their computers unusable, or stealing the files and threatening to leak them. The victims are told they can only get their files back by paying a huge ransom. Still, with no arrests in this case, cybercrime experts question the long-term impact of Hive's dismantling.
The criminal marketplace is extremely resilient. So Hive has competitors who are literally waiting in the wings to replace them.
Hackers linked to other ransomware attacks have often been based out of Russia. Today, the Attorney General declined to comment on whether this group was, citing an ongoing investigation.
Hi, folks. So now we see that, and we talked about in the show, how hackers and criminals and scammers are trying to infiltrate the healthcare industry with ransomware, locking up their data, causing all kinds of turmoil, right? And also affecting patients' lives. Yes, folks, ransomware affecting patients' lives because a lot of the equipment are set up and installed online. And if their equipment can be hacked, it can affect the patient's lives. Well, folks, here's another story, not just with technology, but from the other factor. That's a human factor, folks. And the human factor is this, that the federal authorities have uncovered fake nursing diploma ring, folks. Yes, it's a criminal ring, folks, that offers fake diplomas for people who want to become a nurse and then put it on their resume with fake certifications. These certifications are causing all types of problems. So now the Board of Nursing around the country are looking back over these particular nurses and where they're employed and make sure these people are removed from their employment. Here's a story I'd like to share with you on another human factor, another human weakness, folks, from WHAS 11 News.
This morning, authorities are warning healthcare facilities nationwide after uncovering a scheme that sold thousands of fake diplomas to people working as nurses.
When we talk about a nurse's education and credentials, shortcut is not a word we want to use.
The operation, dubbed Operation Nightingale, uncovered 3 nursing schools based in South Florida, which investigators say sold more than 7,600 fraudulent diplomas for about $15,000 apiece.
We're looking around at $114 million paid for these documents.
The local district attorney says in some cases, students would use the fake diplomas to obtain nursing jobs in other states without proper training.
When we entrust the life of an elderly parent to the staff of an assisted living or skilled nurse facility, the last thing we want to learn is that the nurses administering the medications, the ones charged with carrying out doctor's order, took shortcuts on their clinical training.
Authorities charged 25 people in the scheme across multiple states, including Florida, New York, New Jersey, Texas, and Delaware. Agents say they've identified several facilities where people may currently be working as licensed nurses after obtaining their jobs illegally. Investigators are now working with licensing boards in each state to make sure anyone who got a fraudulent diploma no longer provides care.
To date, we have not learned of nor uncovered any evidence of patient harm stemming from these individuals potentially providing services to patients.
The 25 suspects face fraud and conspiracy charges. The 3 schools have been shut down. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Well, folks, we must stay proactive. Stories like this that we have showed you on the show here, Cybersecurity Awareness TV, about extortion and criminals and hackers that are out there trying to get your information, trying to exploit your well-being and from your money. As a cybersecurity professional, we provide information and knowledge to educate the public on trying to combat these types of threats. You could do your part as well, folks, by sharing your information, what you've learned in this show and others, letting people know that little steps that you could take to protect yourself from these kind of threats can mean a lot. And of course, supporting our law enforcement agencies from around the world, as you see, that we are working on ways to protect the innocent here from these types of crimes. Like we always say, folks, hashtag stay cyber alert. We'll be back on Cybersecurity Awareness TV after these messages.
Hi, I'm George Miklos.
Hi, I'm Rick Upchurch.
Hi, I'm Aaron Phillips, and we are
The Round Table.
Check us out
Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Time Live
on Facebook page as well as WWDBTV.
Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here hashtag Stay Cyber Woke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this segment, we're talking about things that you can do to protect your business, become more productive and better secure. So the first thing we like to say to folks, that we say every week, folks, is to think before you click. Before you click on this email that someone sent you a link to somewhere that you're not sure who it's from, or you may want to just look at the email twice if it's from one of your co-workers, right? Because hackers will use your co-workers' emails disguised as a legitimate mail. It could be actually fraud or a legitimate malware email that they'll like you to click on to infiltrate your computer system. So definitely be careful of that. Now, there are things called phish testing, folks, spelled Phishing. It's phishing testing. And what this basically does is that organizations sporadically and like a unannounced drug test, they actually send out emails to their employees to see which ones will click on a certain email. Now, if you do click on an email that is deemed a phishing email, it's not to get the employee in trouble. It's basically to educate the employee of what to look for the next time, right? It's practice, what to look for the next time. If you see an email that looks suspicious, you're not sure of what it is, it should be reported. And your organization should have means within your organization of reporting suspicious looking emails to IT or to some department within your organization that they can be investigated. So phishing testing is something that I recommend, and other cybersecurity experts like myself, we recommend having that type of setup within your organization. It's not expensive to do, but I tell you folks, a little bit of prevention is a pound of cure, right? Is that what our grandparents used to tell us? And it's definitely true too for all of what we do. The second, folks, I tell everyone is to always make sure that your password is now you use a passphrase. That's right, folks. If you are a fan of our show or an audience of our show over the years, you know that I talk about using passphrases and not a password. Having your passphrase at least a minimum of 12 to 15 characters long, upper and lower case, with a special character and a number would be great. Passphrases are easy to find. It's something that your family can understand. It's easy for you to remember, but makes it very, very hard for the cyber criminal to remember, folks. So those are just some of the things that we recommend for you to do. And if you like this and others, definitely contact my company. That's Vanderson Cyber Group, folks. We will come in your organization and assist you in developing policies and procedure, as well as phishing techniques and tools to protect your business from these types of cyber threats. You can find my company again at VandersonCyberGroup.com, or give us a call here in Las Vegas at 702-868-0808. That's 702-868-0808, folks. Boy, we had a great show today with a lot of information for you folks. We definitely want you to pass it along. Any questions you may have, definitely contact me. We'd love to talk to you and find out what we can do to increase your cyber posture, folks. Until next week, this is Mac Jackson for Cybersecurity Awareness TV. Have a good one, folks.